Hey everybody, today we're talking about why fat burning workouts have gotten you no results whatsoever. This is kind of near and dear to my heart because I was definitely one of the individuals who was confused about why like my fat burning workouts weren't making me lose the body fat that I felt like I had in excess, like, and I just wanted abs and I didn't know how to do that. So you want abs, this is for you. So about me, if you've seen my podcast before or anything like that, you probably know a little bit about this information, but I'm going to try to run through it all again just because. So John Brown, owner and founder of Empirical Fitness. We're in Austin, Texas. There's my email, my IG, my Facebook group. If you're a nerd and you like to lift weights, I highly recommend that you go check it out. I go live in there once a week and talk about topics that are near and dear to my heart and probably to yours if you're a nerd. All right, so quick intro before I dive deep into why fat burning workouts aren't like effective for fat loss. I want to give you guys a quick overview of like energy systems, right? So you have like three main energy systems. You have creatine phosphagen, which is like very explosive, very fast, like anywhere between like 0 to like 15 seconds as far as like when it's in use. And I think for like elite individuals, like can kind of range can kind of inch up a little bit. If you have your then glycolytic system, you have anaerobic and aerobic glycolysis. It doesn't matter. Both of those kind of like cause like this hydrogen ion lactate acid buildup that like doesn't feel good. And thus you can't do it for extreme periods of time. We're talking like I think no more than like 3 to 4 minutes, I think, as far as like your glycolytic system. Then you have your aerobic energy system. That means with oxygen, and you can do that for like ever. So creatine phosphagen system, if you guys have or are caught up on Dandadan, uh, the main character, Ken Takakura, ends up using like this attack where he like counts to 20. He's like punching the heck out of this other character whose name I currently forget. And that would be like your creatine phosphate system. It's fast, it's explosive, it doesn't last long, and you just get to go all out for that really short amount of time. Your glycolytic energy system anaerobic, I would equate this to like the Kaioken of Goku during Dragon Ball Z. So Kaioken, you're pushing past your limits, you're creating like this intense tension, this intense fatigue that has drawbacks, but for this limited amount of time, you can go super hard. Um, This will be the dominant system when you're working at higher intensities. Think about you sprinting for not just like 100 meters, but for like a unless you're like super fast, for like a 400 or like an 800, like going like all out. This is when that kind of comes into play. This is highly fatiguing due to the byproducts that it makes, which we kind of talked about, hydrogen ions and lactic acid in your bloodstream that starts off in the cell, then kind of goes into your bloodstream, which is why you kind of get that burning sensation and feeling, which is not good. Your aerobic energy system. So aerobic energy system, once again, that is where fat is predominantly used as your fuel source. If we talk about here and here, fat is not used as predominant fuel source. In the creatine phosphate system, you use creatine. And your anaerobic, you're going to use a lot of carbs. And your aerobic, you're going to use a lot of fat as far as your fuel sources are concerned. So it is the dominant energy system at rest and low activity. So walking, sitting, and just laying down, that's all going to be fat used as fuel for that. And if you're like, I'm a couch potato, I lay down all the time, must be burning hella fat. I mean, technically, yeah, your resting or basal metabolic rate or resting metabolic rate are actually where you burn the majority of calories throughout your entire day. So most people think that like you burn the majority of your calories in a day via exercise. So you go, let's say, what's my furthest run I've done lately? I went on a 5 mile run, 4.93 or something like that. We're gonna call it five, saying the GPS was wrong. If I went on that 5 mile run and it took me an hour because it did, don't laugh at me. It was hard and I had to try to stay in my zone two training. If I went on that 5 mile run and I stayed in like my zone two, I'm gonna be predominantly using fat, a little bit of carb intake because my heart rate is elevated, but I'm trying to use fat in the fuel source at that time because we're trying to increase my fat utilization, my aerobic capacity. So if I'm using fat as my predominant energy at the time and I'm running for an hour, exercise for an hour, let's say I burn anywhere between like 800 to 1,000 calories because I'm a heavier guy. I'm like in my 230s right now. If I do that That's great. However, how many calories am I burning at rest by comparison? At rest, sitting on the couch as a couch potato, being a 230-ish pound dude who's 6 feet and lower percent body fat, my resting metabolic rate will probably be above 2000, like 2500. So like yes, I burned, 800 to 1000 calories during my activity, during my aerobic activity, but my overall calorie burn throughout my day actually comes from your basal metabolic rate or your resting metabolic rate. And the cool thing that improves that is lifting weights. So if you're lifting, trying to build muscle, the more muscle you have, the higher your resting metabolic rate becomes, which is kind of a cool factor, which is why I'm very big on building muscle and in order to facilitate better weight loss and fat loss. But more on that later. So fat burning versus fat loss. We kind of talked about it. Activities that burn fat are pretty much any activity done at a certain intensity. So going for a long walk, that'll burn fat. Sprinting the 100-meter dash, not going to be a lot of fat utilized in there. And that's, okay as far as what's going on as far as burning fat, but you are burning calories, and that's important. And we'll kind of circle back there later on in this presentation. Um, Fat focused mythos. So, cardio and keto, guys, in 1 second, team. Boom, work 1 hour. Um, Fat focused mythos. So we have fasted cardio. There was a studies that kind of came out that said if you wake up in the morning and you just run, walk, jog, you do your cardio fasted in the morning, you're going to burn more fat during that workout than if you had eaten first, which is great. However, the caveat is that you burn less fat throughout the day, which is then like a drawback, right? So essentially your body finds a way to even out the scales or balance things out. So what matters most is not necessarily how much fat you burn during that workout. It's a matter of how many calories you burn during that workout and throughout the day, which is why I'm a fan of eating before your workouts because you have more energy to use, and thus you get to push yourself harder during your workouts. Your body usually does better on being fed versus not being fed. Keto's like you're a fat burning machine because all you eat is fat, so you're burning a whole bunch of fat. Once again, the reason why keto works is solely because it instills a caloric deficit. It's not that you're this massive fat burning machine. So any diet, whether it's low carb, high protein, vegan, whatever it is, the only way that you get to lose fat and lose weight is by initiating or kind of creating a caloric deficit, which means you're burning less calories than you're consuming. That's what a caloric deficit is, or sorry, you're burning more calories than you're consuming. So if I'm consuming this much and I'm burning this much, I'm in a deficit. If I'm consuming this much and I'm burning this much, I'm in a surplus, which means I'm eating more than I need, which is really good for building muscle, very bad for fat loss or weight loss. So, once again, caloric deficit. I'm eating this much, I'm burning this much. Deficit. Um, and so that's why keto itself doesn't work. In the essence that don't you just because you're in keto doesn't mean you automatically lose weight. You have to eat less food and work out more to create said deficit. Now, the key factor is or what can make keto helpful is the fact that in the keto diet, because you're eating like higher fats, you're curbing your hunger symptoms. And when your body consumes a lot of fat, your hunger symptoms become less prevalent. And then if you're intermittent fast plus keto, you're barely ever feeling hungry. That doesn't mean that you aren't hungry, that you don't need calories. I myself experimented with keto one time, and I remember I went for like a heavy deadlifting workout and like blacked out solely because I didn't have the carbs, I didn't have the energy, but I wasn't hungry. So that diet style didn't really work well for me personally. But those are the mythos around fasted cardio about burning more fat during your workout versus outside of your workout. Once again, the body finds a way to keep score and balance that out. As far as keto diet, you're not this fat burning machine. You're not burning more than you're losing. Once again, the main thing that's happening there is you're creating a calorie deficit. So why is focusing on fat burning activity not enough? Because once again, you could walk. let's say you burn 3,000 calories a day and you walk 30 minutes every day, you're burning fat. But your metabolism burn 3,000, but you eat 4,000 calories a day, you're going to gain weight. You're just eating more than you're burning. So even though you're doing this fat focused or fat burning activity, that's not enough to overcome your caloric surplus, how much you're eating, the fact that you're eating more than you're burning. So fat balance. So the main issue with a fat focused strategy is fat as fuel doesn't equate to or equal to fat lost. That's what a lot of people miss and what a lot of people don't focus on, and why a lot of people don't see success that they want to see. So, in order to fix that, you need to fix your fat balance. And the best way to do that is to attack your energy balance or your caloric balance. So, the solution that you need, once again, team, is a calorie deficit. That is when you burn more calories than you consume. When you do this, you will lose weight. And you're like, but John, I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm trying to lose fat. The answer to, or my follow-up to that statement is yes, I understand you're not trying to lose weight, but fat within itself weighs, and you have to lose fat in as like a total, like systemically, in order to see any kind of weight loss. Now you have fat cells, and essentially you don't get like more fat cells, and it's like you yo-yo diet. Like hyperplasia is not like a thing that just normally occurs as far as the increase in your number of fat cells, but your cells themselves do expand and get bigger based off how much body fat you're maintaining or how much fat you have on you at that time. So that's why like, or I don't say that's why, that's just a cool phenomenon that I found during my readings and my research. So once again, as you institute a calorie deficit, your fat cells that you have all over your body, some people carry fat in different places, like genetically based on your DNA. Your fat cells begin to shrink and become less thick. You will always have some amount of fat. You need fat. I think your brain is majority fat, for example. So like fat isn't bad. But obviously, if you want to lose fat, if you want to look leaner, we're trying to shrink those fat cells around your body. The calorie deficit does this, and we can never lose like 100% solely fat. We will always lose some form of lean body mass, and lean body mass includes things like your muscle glycogen, so like the sugar like in your muscles and the fuel in your muscles helps you perform. That's why in a caloric deficit or during like a fat loss phase, you find that your performance decreases. You just don't have the gas in the tank anymore. Your water weight, when as you lose fat and lose water weight or lose muscle glycogen, things like that, you won't be able to store as much water. So water's included in lean body mass, and then of course muscle is also included there. You shouldn't lose much skeletal muscle during your fat loss phase, depending on if you are or how lean you are, what your current body fat percentage is. So the lower your body fat percentage is, the more lean body mass you will lose while in a caloric deficit. Just part of the game. Uh, the good news is by lifting weights or staying active, you can ensure that you end up maintaining more muscle, more skeletal muscle, more lean body mass during your caloric deficit, during your fat loss phase, while trying to attempt, once again, circling back to the caloric deficit. All right, weight loss versus fat loss, guys. We kind of went over it during my long tirade, like just a moment ago, but just to recap, only one proven way to create weight loss, and that's a caloric deficit. Some people are like, no, I lost weight by working out more. I was being more active. All right, congratulations. You by increasing your activity level, you then created a calorie deficit, which helped you lose weight, which helped you lose fat. Once again, fat loss will always occur due to weight being lost. Your energy balance as a deficit is what leads to change in fat balance. As long as you are in a calorie deficit and you're working out and being active, you will see fat loss with your weight loss. So, once again, guys, a quick summary. Burning fat via activity doesn't mean you're about to lose fat. Your weight loss will lead to your fat loss, and energy balance is the only true way to lose weight. Those are things that just hold true. They are scientifically driven, proven, so on and so forth. And you can institute your calorie deficit via any diet that you like. I'm a big proponent of tracking calories, so that's how I do it because I like to eat cookies. And I have to know how many calories are in my cookies in order to ensure I don't eat too many cookies. Rule of thumb. Oh, I also like my Creamy Creations HB ice cream. They should sponsor me at some point. Uh, I like to eat that. So if I don't log or track how much I eat that, then I'm gonna overeat and then I'm gonna gain weight, and that's not really what I'm trying to do in this phase of my life currently. But yeah, guys, this is why what you need to be paying attention to is your energy balance, not necessarily your fat focused workouts or burns. Another thing that is key, if you're someone who's like, I don't want to lose weight, I just want to lose fat, I just want to look leaner. As a coach and from a scientific perspective, all I'm hearing is, John, I need to lose weight. The reason for that being is you cannot lose fat, you cannot look leaner without first losing weight in order to make that happen. I hope it makes sense, guys. All right, guys, our contact information. This is my email, john at empiricalfitnessgym.com. Uh, I love making these informative podcast episodes, trying to help people lose fat and burn fat and so on and so forth. If you have questions, recommendations, suggestions for my next podcast episode, if you have questions and or insight, I would love to answer those for you and possibly make an episode about you, whatever you're struggling with, so on and so forth. Maybe invite you on my show to answer some of your questions personally. Probably would enjoy that a lot. Social media, guys. Quadfather underscore 77. That is my Instagram, TikTok pages. Feel free to check me out. There's also me on Threads as well. My Facebook group, Nerds Who Lift Weights. If you're an anime, sci-fi, fantasy, comics, come check us out in there. We talk about nerd stuff all the time, as well as like health and fitness stuff. We always like to see each other win. Boom. All right, guys. This concludes my podcast presentation. If you guys have any questions for me, let me know.